SUVs have essentially taken over the car market at this point, and within that broader category, mid-size models have carved out the real sweet spot for modern families. They're big enough to handle a proper road trip, nimble enough for daily city driving, and increasingly efficient enough to make a genuine dent in fuel costs over time. Heading into 2026 and looking ahead to 2027, that segment is shifting fast, with automakers leaning hard into fuel efficiency, electrification, and noticeably smarter onboard technology. Families today are paying closer attention to fuel prices than they used to, while travel patterns keep pointing toward longer road trips, suburban commutes, and a work-life balance that demands both comfortable range and everyday practicality. That's exactly why the 5 midsize SUVs arriving in 2027 matter so much. They aren't just new model years with a fresh coat of paint. They're a direct response to how people are actually planning to live, commute, and travel over the next several years. What makes this particular crop of vehicles interesting is how differently each manufacturer is approaching the same basic problem. Some are betting almost entirely on plug-in hybrid flexibility, hedging against the idea that not every driver is ready to go fully electric just yet. Others are pushing hard toward full battery electric powertrains, wagering that charging infrastructure and battery technology will have matured enough by 2027 to make range anxiety a non-issue. A few are chasing outright performance alongside efficiency, proving that family SUV doesn't have to mean boring to drive. Taken together, this list reads less like 5 unrelated new releases and more like a snapshot of every major strategy currently competing for space in the same segment. Here's the countdown from 5 down to the SUV that ties the whole segment together. Hyundai has been on a genuine roll over the past several years, and by 2027, the Tucson is positioned to become a real standout in the midsize class. Right now, the Tucson sits a touch smaller than some of its direct rivals, but the next generation pushes it firmly into proper midsize territory. And the bigger story is what's happening under the hood. Hyundai is expected to offer the 2027 Tucson with a next-generation plug-in hybrid system rumored to deliver up to 55 miles of electric-only range, which means the average daily commute could realistically happen without burning a drop of gasoline. Paired with Hyundai's efficient turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, the Tucson should be capable of clearing 40 miles per gallon equivalent when driven sensibly. That kind of number would have sounded closer to science fiction for a mid-size SUV just a handful of years ago, and it reflects just how quickly hybrid technology has matured across the industry as a whole. Inside, Hyundai is pushing more upscale touches into an affordable price bracket. Dual curved displays, AI-assisted driver support, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and Hyundai's latest highway driving pilot for semi-autonomous highway cruising. The exterior design leans into Hyundai's bold parametric styling language, sharp creases, futuristic lighting signatures, and a slightly more rugged overall stance that should help it stand out in a crowded parking lot rather than blending into the background. Pricing should land somewhere between $34,000 and $40,000, making it one of the most accessible entries on this list. For smaller families or couples chasing meaningful savings without giving up mid-size practicality, the 2027 Tucson looks like a genuinely worthwhile wait. The RAV4 has spent years as one of the best-selling SUVs on the planet, and 2027 is shaping up to bring its most significant redesign yet. Toyota is expected to roll out a fully electrified lineup across the board, with hybrid and plug-in hybrid powertrains becoming standard rather than optional add-ons. The headline act will be the RAV4 Prime, which should see its electric-only range climb from today's 42 miles to something closer to 60, comfortably enough to cover the average commute without touching the gas tank. Combine that with Toyota's long-standing reputation for reliability and a total combined driving range well past 600 miles, and the result is a genuinely capable road trip companion, one that should appeal just as much to both families driving cross-country as it does to daily commuters trying to avoid the gas station altogether. Inside, the RAV4 is finally expected to step into more premium territory with softer cabin materials, a larger 14-inch infotainment display, and Toyota Safety Sense 4.0, which should bring more advanced lane merging assistance and limited semi-autonomous city driving capability. Toyota clearly understands that families value durability above almost everything else, so the boxy, cargo-friendly shape is expected to stick around, preserving generous rear seat room and luggage space. Pricing should start somewhere between $36,000 and $44,000, and the fuel savings racked up over 5 to 10 years of ownership should make that investment pay for itself fairly comfortably. For growing families who want dependable, low-maintenance transportation with far fewer stops at the pump, the RAV4 remains a rock-solid pick. For anyone who wants genuine performance and prestige wrapped into a midsize SUV, the 2027 BMW X5 is set to deliver on both fronts. The X5 has long been a benchmark in this segment, and the 2027 version is expected to debut BMW's next-generation plug-in hybrid system. Rumors point to a 3.0-liter turbocharged inline-six paired with a more powerful electric motor, pushing total output past 500 horsepower while still managing 35 to 40 miles of electric-only range. Essentially the thrill of a genuine sports car layered on top of commuter-friendly efficiency. BMW is also expected to push cabin luxury even further, with curved OLED displays, ambient lighting that adjusts based on mood and time of day, and the brand's latest iDrive 9 infotainment system complete with augmented reality navigation overlays. Safety technology should be similarly cutting-edge, with Level 3 autonomous driving available under certain highway conditions, putting the X5 firmly in the conversation with far more expensive luxury flagships when it comes to onboard capability. None of this comes cheap, with starting prices expected in the $70,000 to $85,000 range. But for families with the budget to spend, it offers a rare combination that few SUVs manage to pull off simultaneously. Real luxury, genuine efficiency, and honest driving excitement all wrapped into one package. If there's one SUV on this list that feels like a genuine glimpse of where the segment is headed, it's the Kia EV9. But technically, it already launched back in 2024, but by 2027, it's expected to receive substantial upgrades that push it into the conversation as one of the most advanced electric midsize SUVs available anywhere. Range should climb closer to 350 to 400 miles on a single charge thanks to improved battery chemistry, while fast charging capability allowing a 10 to 80% top-up in under 15 minutes would be a genuine game-changer for longer road trips. On the performance side, dual-motor, all-wheel drive versions should comfortably clear 400 horsepower while remaining notably quiet at highway speeds, a combination that continues to surprise drivers who still associate electric SUVs with sluggish, uninspired driving dynamics. The interior leans futuristic and flexible, with rotating second-row seats, recycled and sustainable materials, dual panoramic displays, and Kia's latest AI-driven voice assistant handling much of the in-cabin interaction. Families in particular should appreciate the spacious three-row layout, which puts the EV9 among a fairly small group of electric SUVs that can comfortably seat 7. Pricing is expected to start somewhere between $55,000 and $65,000, though federal and state incentives could bring the real-world cost down considerably. For tech-focused families ready to leave gasoline behind entirely, the EV9 looks like one of the more future-proof choices heading into 2027. Taking the top spot is the 2027 Volvo XC90 Recharge, and it earns that position by essentially representing everything the future of the midsize SUV segment should look like. Genuinely luxurious, exceptionally safe, efficient, and built around real family needs. Volvo is expected to fully electrify the XC90 lineup by 2027, offering both a long-range battery electric version and an advanced plug-in hybrid alternative. The EV variant should deliver up to 400 miles of range, while the plug-in hybrid is expected to push past 60 miles of electric-only driving, giving buyers a genuine choice between going fully electric or keeping the flexibility of a hybrid setup depending on their circumstances. Performance should stay smooth rather than aggressive, with dual-motor all-wheel drive systems producing somewhere between 400 and 450 horsepower. Plenty for confident highway merging and overtaking without chasing the kind of raw numbers that define the X5. What really sets the XC90 apart, though, is the overall interior experience. Scandinavian minimalist design, sustainable materials throughout the cabin, and genuinely next-generation safety technology that continues to build on Volvo's decades-long reputation as one of the safest automakers on the road. Volvo has long positioned itself as a leader in autonomous safety systems, and the 2027 XC90 could end up being one of the first midsize SUVs to offer real, hands-free Level 3 driving under everyday road conditions. Pricing is expected to land between $70,000 and $85,000, which is far from cheap, but for families who prioritize safety, comfort, and long-term value over outright cost savings, the XC90 Recharge shapes up as the most well-rounded midsize SUV worth the wait. These 5 SUVs aren't just competing on spec sheets and horsepower figures, they're designed to actually fit into real, complicated lives, balancing daily commutes, family logistics, and rising fuel costs against genuinely smarter technology and better overall efficiency. A family of 5 planning road trips through 2026 and beyond has a fairly clear set of options depending on what matters most to them. And the good news is that none of these 5 choices represent a genuine compromise the way midsize SUVs sometimes did in years past. Anyone chasing maximum range without the hassle of constant charging, stops will likely gravitate toward the RAV4 Prime or the Tucson Hybrid, both of which lean on proven hybrid technology rather than asking buyers to fully commit to an unfamiliar charging routine. Buyers with room in the budget for genuine luxury and a bit of driving excitement will find the X5 delivers real thrills without completely abandoning efficiency. Families ready to fully commit to an electric future will find the EV9 checks nearly every box, from real-world range to genuine 3-row seating, while those who prioritize safety, technology, and premium comfort above everything else will likely find the XC90 Recharge hard to beat, especially once its Level 3 autonomous capability starts rolling out in real-world driving conditions. Looking at the segment as a whole, the XC90 Recharge edges out the competition on all-around balance, while the Tucson remains the strongest pick for budget-conscious families chasing serious efficiency without stretching their finances. Meanwhile, the EV9 stands out as the clearest choice for households ready to leave gasoline behind entirely. Whichever direction a buyer leans, one thing is fairly clear. 2027 is shaping up to be the year mid-size SUVs may quietly redefine what it means to be efficient, practical, and genuinely exciting to own all at the same time. It's also worth stepping back and noticing just how much ground this segment has covered in a relatively short window. A few years ago, choosing a mid-size SUV usually meant picking between reliability, luxury, or driving enjoyment, since very few vehicles manage to deliver all the 3 at once. That trade-off is quietly disappearing. Plug-in hybrid systems have matured to the point where electric-only range genuinely covers most daily driving. Full battery electric platforms have closed much of the gap on charging speed and total range, and manufacturers across the board are finally treating in-cabin technology as a core part of the experience, rather than an afterthought bolted on at the last minute. That shift matters for buyers well beyond this specific list of 5 vehicles, since it signals where the rest of the midsize segment is likely headed over the next several model years. Automakers that fail to keep pace on electrification, efficiency, or cabin technology risk falling noticeably behind. And the 5 SUVs covered here represent what happens when a manufacturer takes that pressure seriously rather than treating it as optional. For anyone planning a purchase around the 2027 model year, these 5 names are a starting point for comparison, regardless of which specific priorities end up mattering most.